All right, Quinn, you want to get it started?
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining today, this morning. We are going to be having another one at 2 p.m. So for those of you whose colleagues couldn't join, just please spread the message that we do have the same exact presentation happening at 2 p.m. today. Today we're going to be focusing on Belzona's concrete repair. There's a lot of applications this can be used in, be it for a quick temporary fix to a permanent solution. Also, size is not an issue when it comes to fixing some of these concrete solutions that people are looking for. Going to be handing this over to Alex, who will be conducting our webinar. Alex is our in-house engineer, very knowledgeable on the product. And if you have any questions, please go into the chat below, type it in, or at the end of the webinar, we can have a Q&A session. As well as if you'd like, please give me your contact information, name, and an email. That way I can send you a credited professional PE hour as well. Alex?
All right, thanks, Quinn. For those of you joining this every 2 weeks, this week is going to be concrete repair. Last week we did secondary containment. They have a couple things that are kind of the same, so you might see some stuff from last week. So we're going to do concrete repair today. This picture right here, you can see some of the Belzona fixing a hydroelectric dam, and that's the end photo there. We're going to cover this type of product. So we're going to cover our rebuild products for concrete. We're going to go into composite repair, weatherproofing, and finish it with chocking and grout. Like Quinn said, if you have any questions, just throw them in the chat or just write them down and we'll have a little discussion at the end. So this is a little video that I want to give you guys a visual of what our concrete repair products look like, and then we'll go into the numbers. So just a little.
Concrete is the most widely used construction material in the world. As a consequence, concrete damage and deterioration are perhaps the biggest problems encountered by buildings and structures. From floors and steps to walls and roofs, the effects of damage are clear to see across multiple areas. But is more concrete really the answer? As an alternative to like-for-like repairs, Belzona offers a variety of polymeric mortar repair and protection solutions. These materials offer superior application and performance benefits. In this video, we put some of these to the test. For vertical or overhead applications, concrete is impossible to apply and cure without the use of formers and shuttering. Instead, Belzona's materials can repair the damaged area with minimal support and fully cure without any shuttering. For example, this high-build concrete repair material will not sag, even when applied thickly on vertical or overhead surfaces. The lasting quality of Belzona is better too. All of Belzona's mortar repair systems demonstrate excellent levels of adhesion, even on vertical and overhead surfaces. In fact, Belzona adheres so well that it's stronger than the cohesive strength of concrete. Lightweight properties also make Belzona superior to like-for-like concrete repairs. When fully cured, Belzona's low-density polymeric system weighs significantly less than the equivalent volume of concrete. Lighter materials make applications easier and quicker. Even light pedestrian traffic can result in deterioration over time, yet concrete areas featuring heavy-duty vehicles can be prone to higher levels of wear. Belzona can prevent this problem from reoccurring with rebuild materials that provide long-term resistance to both abrasion and impact. Loading bays and storage areas make excellent examples where these solutions have proved beneficial. Whether exposed to the environment or aggressive chemical contact, Belzona's concrete repair composites are non-porous and do not absorb water or chemicals. This makes them ideally suited to areas subject to chemical attack. In fact, Belzona's range of mortar repair materials and coatings are capable of resisting some of the strongest acids and alkalis used across industries, even at high temperatures. For each application area and service environment, Belzona offers a superior solution to repairing and protecting damaged concrete. And as demonstrated, you can be guaranteed that these benefits will come as standard. Visit belzona.com.
So as the video showed, we have a material that can be used to repair concrete that's going to have a lot of properties that the concrete won't have. For instance, it's going to be chemically resistant. The next slide, I'll have some of the mechanical properties, but just to give you guys a view of what products we have for rebuild of bulk concrete, it's going to be our 4000 series products. Each one of these products has a specific purpose. The top three are generally used for horizontal rebuild where you're skimming over some concrete that's deteriorated. The Belzona 4141, that's the lightweight product that they were referring to. And that comes in handy whenever you're doing a vertical rebuild. Could be a column or a wall where you have a big chunk of concrete missing. It's really easy. You don't even need a former. You can rebuild that and make it, without the use of former, build it up about 4 or 5 inches vertically. And then our 4181 on the bottom right there, that's a highly chemical resistant concrete rebuild product. Typically can rebuild up to, typically it's used to level out the concrete. It goes up down at about a 16th to an 1/8 inch thick. But since it is 100% solid, you can build it up 2 inches thick if you wanted to. And all these products, what they are is a resin-rich epoxy system. So it's a resin mixed with aggregate, and we call it a mortar grade system. Once all the components are mixed together, it's kind of like a wet sand is the consistency that you're going to have. So the good thing about these products, they're going to give you far better properties than you will with concrete. So you might have a concrete that's failing because of chemical attack, or it's just been corroded over time. And you can use this product and it's going to stick to the concrete and it's going to give you better properties. So your compressive strength is going to be above 10,000. You're going to have chemical and water resistance. And one of the great things is, like the video showed, the adhesion to concrete is greater than the tensile or cohesive strength of the concrete. So whenever we do our adhesion test and we pull the Belzona off, we actually pull the concrete off. So it's going to stick better to concrete than concrete would stick to itself. So it's really used in a lot of scenarios where you have, a concrete wall and a secondary containment that's eaten up, or a concrete base pedestal. And even I'm going to show you some examples at the end for some anchor bolt applications. So going into some cool applications here, we have a sump here that's the concrete, as you see here, was chemically attacked by HCl. So the way you apply these products, whenever we're applying them to concrete, the first thing you want to do is just remove all the damaged concrete. Yes, we have a great bond to concrete, but if your concrete is not intact, then that's going to chip off. So that's a big mistake that you can do, is just put it over loose concrete, because obviously that's just going to come off. So you want to chip away all the damaged concrete, get down to intact concrete, get down to the steel, and then do a sandblast and get a nice rough surface that's intact. In this case, that's what we did. And then we actually bonded in a metal box. So we put a metal box in its place here and used Belzona 4111 to pour in the void. So we kind of used the metal box as almost like a former, and poured the Belzona concrete materials on the perimeter. That's what you see here. And then this is HCl. So we did give it a top coat of our chemical resistant coating. So that's Belzona 4311. And now the sump is protected. This is a cooling tower basin, concrete basin. You can see the columns are pretty eaten away. You got some cracks on the floor as well. So here, you don't really have to build too much here. So this is not where you would bring in that vertical rebuild. This just requires like a light skim. So they used Belzona 4111 to give it a skim and kind of smooth over the aggregate. And then we top coated it with a corrosion resistant coating, Belzona 5811. And any cracks and things like that in the concrete, those can be V'd out. You can use different types of flexible materials that we have to kind of repair them, and then top coat it over the top. Now this is one where you have a chunk of concrete eaten away on a vertical surface. So this is where that lightweight high build concrete repair comes into play. So you can see here, if you want, you can use our other product, but you would need a former, which is not too hard, but it's a lot easier just to take out the 4141. Typically we mix it in the bucket and use our hands to just pack it and use a trowel to make it smooth. And Once you're done, and it stays up there like you saw in the video. So again, overhead application here, the Belzona 4141 high build comes into handy, as you can see here. And we top coated it. So another thing that we have been getting into lately, and this has actually been in the industry for quite a while, is composite repairs for concrete. So FRP repairs, we have different types of composites, anywhere from carbon fiber to fiberglass to polyester. And the main reason we're going to use them is just two different ways we use them. We're going to restore the strength of a deteriorated concrete structure, or you can even retrofit a sound structure to resist increased loads. So there's different reasons why we use them, different applications, but in the end, you can use these composite materials to just reinforce your concrete. So one thing we do have a lot of is concrete pipe repair. This was actually pretty recent. This was a concrete line that was delivering cooling water to a plant, and they had some cracking along several areas of the pipeline. You can see here they had a little crack down the middle. We used our paste grade materials. So the good thing about Belzona is we have a primer that adheres well to an epoxy primer that adheres well to concrete. That's what you see here, that wet look of the concrete. And then we can really use any one of our paste grade materials. So this is Belzona 1121, typically used for metal, but here we thought it'd be a little easier to use and go around the pipe. You could have used the 4000 series as well, but we have different options at Belzona. As you know, we got 100 different types of products. So once we kind of filled in this area, they had put some hydraulic cement over it, so we wanted to smooth it out. We went over the top with our carbon fiber wrap. We were able to just create a pressure retaining wrap over this concrete crack. This is a concrete pile, offshore, severely corroded, exposed rebar, kind of cracking everywhere, vertical rebuild. So this was a good scenario to use our 4000 series high build. And they were able to sandblast and remove all the loose concrete, get down to the intact concrete and rebuild it with the 4141 high build concrete repair. And then we went over the top of that with a fiberglass resin wrap. And that's going to help with the concrete confinement. It's going to add a little strength to the concrete and give it corrosion resistance as well. And a good thing is now we found a standard that's been used since about, it's been developed over the years, but FRPs have been used since the 1980s to reinforce concrete. But there is a standard, ACI 442R17, that allows you to actually calculate how thick you have to make your repair, how you have to install it, and it allows you to design FRP systems for increased load capacity of concrete. So it can be used for concrete that's deteriorated and you want to reinforce it to be able to withstand the load. It could also be used to increase the load capacity of a sound concrete structure. So what we found was we had Belzona Super Wrap 2. If you guys aren't familiar, it's our ASME composite wrap. And to be compliant with ASME, you have to put that composite through a lot of different testing, anything from tensile strength to shear strength to elastic modulus, just a whole bunch of testing. So we took a look at the ACI standard and we realized that we already had all the testing that we needed to be compliant to this standard. So now we can use this standard and actually make some calculations and use that to do some jobs and reinforce concrete members, anything from flexural strengthening to shear strengthening to concrete confinement. We've been doing it, for years. Now we have a way to calculate it with a standard. So the Belzona Super Wrap 2, it's a 70% fiberglass, 30% carbon fiber reinforcement. We have 100% solid Novolac epoxy that we mix with the reinforcement. Once you mix it into the reinforcement, you can mold it around whatever structure you need to mold it around. And then once it cures, it forms a hard composite. So there's different reasons why we have the 70 and 30% fiber, the ratio of fiberglass to carbon fiber. Generally, adding the fiberglass It makes it a little more pliable, so it's a little easier to work with. Your thermal expansion is going to be closer to steel and concrete. Carbon fiber doesn't have much thermal expansion, so adding the fiberglass, you can match the thermal expansion better to concrete. The carbon fiber is going to give you more tensile strength, and it's going to improve your resistance to creep and fatigue failure. And then in the end, once you apply your system, we use a very chemical resistant resin, but you can always top coat your system to just protect all the fibers and protect it from the environment, give it a longer lasting repair. So that's about it for the composites. That's kind of the more durable, heavy duty repairs, but there are sometimes we have other composite repairs that are more like environmental, water resistant type repairs. So this was a roof that was leaking at some of the joints, and we have an acrylic membrane. It is a composite because we do combine a reinforcement sheet with it, but it's not really meant for any load bearing type applications. All we were trying to do here was just stop the water from going inside of this storage unit. So we get a lot of jobs like this. It is concrete repair. They had some small cracks around the joints, just like this rooftop here. Same idea, not as heavy duty of a repair, but still one that is crucial repair to keep everything watertight. And we get a lot of jobs like this as well. Concrete floor to wall interfaces. This is a concrete floor to drywall, but we do a lot of tile to concrete interfaces. And what we've seen with these jobs is a lot of these rooms are not developed to hold water or hold any chemicals, but accidents do occur. So we've had some where it's a mechanical room and there's a leak of diesel. And actually this is one that happened. There was a leak of diesel and the diesel filled up the room and got onto this area and started leaking down. And you guys don't want to know what was in the office below, but it was a big deal. So we came in the next, couple weeks ago and sealed this area here, the concrete floor to wall interface. So we do get a lot of these types of jobs and create that watertight seal. And finally, I'm going to end it with chocking and grouts. Have a cool video for you guys as well. We got our Belzona 7111. This is a precise alignment chocking material. One of the big benefits is a full cure in 12 hours with 30,000 PSI compressive strength. It's going to give you that level finish and protect any rotating equipment, any machinery, generally used for compressors, any dynamic machinery. We also have a grout, Belzona 7211. This is going to come in handy when you want to make a pour that's any more than 5 inches deep. So this is going to allow you to have a deep pour. And then we can even use our concrete repair products that we were talking about previously. And I'm going to show you how. So starting with the 7111, it's a pretty simple procedure. You guys are probably familiar with chocking materials. You're going to create a former and pour in the product. And then the end is you're going to have a level base and protect any rotating equipment. So this is an ABS approved product, generally designed for marine environments where you have a lot of movement on the ships and you want to protect your equipment. But our 4111, which is the resin-rich aggregate epoxy system, it's used quite a lot to rebuild bases. So this is a base of a crusher at a mine that the concrete was totally cracked from all the vibration and chemicals and spillage. So with the 4111, one of the handy things you can use is that you can alter your ratio of aggregate to resin. So you can make it a more fluid mixture and you can make it a thicker, more sandy mixture. So here he probably used 30 to 50% less aggregate than the full mix. And what he did there was he made it a pourable system. So once they got rid of all the bad concrete and did all the surface preparation, they built a former and they just poured in the 4111. And they created a new, sturdier, more chemical resistant base for the crusher. So the same idea here, the only difference being that they actually used we call it a soupy mixture of the 4111 to create anchor bolts. So they leveled out the base and then they used it for anchor bolts. And I have a good video here to finish off this presentation where they show how they did it. So a lot of different uses for these materials. Any questions? I know we went a little bit over that 15 minutes. Quinn, were there any questions in the chat?
No, none have came through yet.